Welcome to Zach and Ira's podcast.
I'm Zach.
Hey Zach, I'm Ira. Well, let's just get right into it. We got a short week this week, not a whole lot going on, but we got a little bit of news to go through. First thing, starting with the sports. I know we started off last week with this, but I gotta continue with it. Celtics have a 13-game winning streak.
And the last two haven't been pretty.
No, it's all right though. It's all right. A win's a win.
Yeah, I'm excited about tonight's game. You know,
yeah,
they're both on big long win streaks. Warriors have 7, Celtics have 13.
Yep.
Warriors are 13-3, Celtics 13-2.
Yep. I mean, by the time this gets out there, it'll be over. But
yeah, but you know, it's pretty insane. Like, these are the two teams. Like, obviously the Cavs are still, you know, the Cavs. They're gonna get it right. I just said that last week. But Celtics are definitely scrappy. They're the best defensive team in the NBA, which was kind of shocking when they lost, you know, players like Avery Bradley last year.
Yeah.
And they just keep rolling. These young kids moving.
Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have definitely stepped up.
Oh, I mean,
they're both superstars at this point.
Jason Tatum, I mean, is just he's got the cojones. He's not scared of the moment. You know, the game last week, I think it was against the Raptors. He finished the game with 2 big, huge layups, driving right to the basket.
Yep.
Got the rebound, then got the bullshit, you know, the bullcrap foul against him where he hit the guy in the face and the guy flopped on the ground like he just got his eye poked out.
That was terrible.
But that's the NBA. That's why the NBA kind of drives me nuts at times.
Yeah.
But
that's why
you know,
I stopped watching for a while. I mean, I'm still not really back into it.
Right now, it's just NBA is getting big right now again. Like, it's always been big, but right now it's like the ratings are through the roof. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. It's a fun league again.
Well, it also helps that the NFL's down again. They're just boring. So you watch a sport that's more fun.
I wish they would get rid of all these prima donnas, and the traveling. But it is what it is. That's another day.
Yeah.
Lonzo Ball for the Lakers, not doing so hot.
No, he's not.
He has a triple-double, first rookie to have a triple-double.
Yeah.
And then he follows it with shitty game after shitty game.
Yeah.
And then he's getting benched in the fourth quarter. Like, I don't know, I feel like the Lakers might be using him wrong. He's got awful mechanics for a shot.
Yeah, I mean, I just think he was overhyped. I don't think he's gonna be what everybody thought he was gonna be.
He might be a poor man's Rondo.
Yeah.
He's really good at passing. He's probably good at D. His shot is just ugly. It's tough. I mean, he's on a team that, you know, you almost think maybe if he was on a team that had a couple players around him, maybe he'd be doing better. You know, maybe if he was in the Celtics situation, or you know, maybe even the 76ers. You know, but he's on the Lakers, and the Lakers are not good.
Yeah, but if he was on the 76ers, he'd just be hurt.
Yeah.
Either way, it's better than where his brother is.
Oh. Well, he's back home now.
Yeah, he is.
You know,
he is. That was terrible.
Trump helped him.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Sixers, Joel Embiid had a stat line the other day that has never happened, and it was against the Lakers. Never happened in NBA before. He had 46 points.
Yep.
He had 15 rebounds. He had 7 blocks and 7 assists.
Wow.
That is some stats. Insane. I mean, that team is going to be a force in the future.
They will be. Unfortunately, they put something in the water that makes them all fragile. I don't know what's going on.
I mean, I don't trust Embiid's knees, you know, at all.
Yeah.
But Ben Simmons looks good.
Yeah.
The team is, you know, it's. I think it's going to be they may push teams this year. I don't think they're going to go far, but they're still young.
They're 2 or 3 years away, I think, from actually putting it all together.
Yeah, and if Fultz can actually get good, he's another one with an awkward shot.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that team could be that's got first-round picks, high first-round picks, and they let go of Nerlens Noel. They're still trying to get rid of Okafor. Like, they have first-round picks in the top 5, 6 in the draft for years now. So
they've been terrible for years.
So I think they're going to be good.
Yeah.
But that's my basketball for this week.
Yep.
I have a quick Bruins or NHL.
Throw it out there.
Oh man, I think the Bruins need to just tank.
Yeah.
They're 27th in the league right now. Brad Marchand just went to the IR.
One thing about the 27th in the league is they've played a lot less games than a lot of other teams. They've got a lot of games in hand.
I mean, they have too many AHL players on the roster.
Yeah.
Guys that, they're young. They went young quick this year.
They did.
They didn't do which is good. They were probably in the cap problems. And so, maybe it's not a bad idea to sell off some pieces like Krejci and Chara.
Yeah.
Try and get some first round picks. They have a young core. They could be good in the future.
Yeah.
But I just think there's too many young players right now.
Yeah, and a lot of teams don't think about that. They've got their young core. They just, it's Boston, so you almost have to be competitive every year. Mm-hmm. If you're not, you just get crapped on by everybody. Right. So that's probably what they're trying to do. But I think if they don't do that and they get rid of those not mid-level guys, but the better guys on the team, not Bergeron or anything.
No,
like
I
that.
think Bergeron will be there, but
yeah, but like the Krejcis and the Chars, maybe even holy crap, the goalie.
I send Raspak in right now.
Tuukka.
Send Tuukka out the door.
Yeah, get rid of them.
Get some first
fall back even further in the standings. Maybe get a number 1, number 2 pick. It's sad that that's how sports have become, but that's what it is.
Their ratings are horrible last night,
The only sport that doesn't do that is baseball because of the way the draft is structured.
The draft sucks.
Speaking
Baseball's
of baseball,
problems is they just don't have the teams without the payroll. I mean, they really have to suck for a few years, get those high draft picks, i.e. Houston, Kansas,
Washington.
Washington, those teams, they have to suck for many years to finally get good.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. They don't have a Red Sox where you're the first, last in one year and then you're in the World Series in the next because you can spend the money.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's baseball's problem, I think, is that it's not a revenue sharing like the NFL.
And it's tough to do that in baseball because the salaries are so ridiculous.
Yeah.
That what they need to do is rein those in somehow. I mean, I don't know if it's possible at this point. It just might be at a point where you can't do anything about it.
I mean, like NHL and basketball and football, they all have revenue sharing.
Right.
So they can only spend. Yes, in basketball you can spend over the cap, but you get the penalties.
Yeah.
Football is a hard cap, and NHL is a hard cap.
Yeah. I don't like basketball with the max contracts and stuff like that. Which the concept of a max contract is really good.
The super max.
So the way it's put out there and the way it works is not good.
No.
You should, if it's a max contract, it should be a max contract period. Yeah. And then the downside to a max contract is if you're a player who's gonna get a max deal, why are you gonna go to a bad team when a good team can give you the same amount of money?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what puts a lot of these bad teams bad for a while.
The only thing I like about the max contract in the NBA is if you're on that team to try and keep that player, you can give more money than any other team.
Right.
So that is a good way to try and keep your own players.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't happen as often as it should.
No.
I
mean, lately teams have been like, listen, I can make this max deal elsewhere. Yes, there'll be a little less money, but I can make up for it in endorsements.
Yeah.
And that's what the NBA is.
And that's why you see LA and places like that, big markets with the big, like people love going to Miami because of the scene in Miami. So it makes it tough that they look more for the destination city in basketball than they do for the destination team. Which is, again, it's unfortunate that's where sports are going.
Yeah.
Speaking about baseball, though,
winter meetings.
Yeah, the winter meetings are going on. Giancarlo Stanton is the big one.
Yeah,
he's the big
What's
fish.
The rumors
intended.
Either the Red Sox or the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'd love to see the Red Sox.
I just don't want to give up the two pieces.
There's only three guys. Obviously you're not giving up like Sale or anything like that. But as far as the young prospect-ish guys, I don't want to give up Betts, obviously.
No,
and
Betts
I don't want to
ain't
give
gonna
up
do
Benintendi.
Yeah,
I'll give up Bradley. I'll give up Bogarts. Whatever they want.
Yeah, I'm starting to kind of feel like the Bogarts you can go.
Yeah.
I think he needs a change of scenery, anyways. Maybe under Derek Jeter over there.
Well, that's the thing. He loves Derek Jeter too. Derek Jeter's wasn't his idol growing up.
I would give him up. I want to keep the rest of the core. I don't want to give up.
See, I mean, I don't know if they would even accept
I don't want
something
to give
like
up
this.
the young kids.
But I would give up Bogarts, and I would give up Eddie Rodriguez.
Yeah, but he's
maybe, and this would be tough for me, but I'd possibly give up Groom too. I really like him.
He's working with Sale right now in training.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, to get a player like Stanton, he's a generational player. It's like you need that power in your lineup as a Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
It's just.
I mean, I think that you could probably give up a Sam Travis. You can probably give up plays like that level, because you're also having to take on this big contract of Giancarlo Stanton.
Right. Well, that's why I'm thinking if you just give them Bogarts and Rodriguez, maybe a Sam Travis with it, they're getting rid of that gigantic contract that opens up a lot of money for them.
Yeah.
That might be a deal they'd be interested in because they're getting 3 pretty good players.
They were talking about Benintendi, Rafael Devers, and I don't want to give up.
I would
both
consider
of them.
Devers.
I mean,
I
want to hold on. I like Benintendi.
Yeah,
I
me
like
too. I think him and Betts are the future of the team.
But then again, you also Giancarlo Stanton is a beast. But at the same time, you have a player like JD Martinez who's coming up.
Old.
And
way too
he's
old.
just also trying to get $200 million.
Yeah, he wants 8 years, $200 million. You're not going to give a guy his age $25 million for 8 years.
That's crazy.
It's just not going to happen.
That's just.
You put JR, not JD.
JD, I mean.
But don't get me wrong. He's good if we could get him cheap.
30 years old, asking for $200 million.
Yeah, he's going to be 38.
I mean, I'm still going. If you can get him for cheaper, I'd get him. But I kind of think maybe they should give Sam Travis, if they don't trade him, the opportunity at first.
Well, I think there's one free agent I would like to see them go get, and that's Eric Hosmer. So if you can get Hosmer and put him at first base, you've got someone who's won a championship, someone who's a really good clubhouse guy, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've obviously never been in a clubhouse with him, but what they say is he's a really good clubhouse guy. He's just a good all-around player, and he's got decent numbers. Yeah, and I mean, I would rather him. And, maybe, I mean, he's not a spring chicken either.
He's 20 years old. He's young, and that means baseball.
What'd you say, 28?
Yeah, baseball terms, that's
yeah,
pretty
that's
young.
not bad. But, I mean,
baseball
Travis
players,
can
you
be
figure,
behind
they go to
him
40 years old, pretty much.
They can, if they can move into
most
a
of them.
DH role.
I heard someone on the radio say, I think they should trade for Miguel Cabrera. I'm like, he's listed at 34. The man's probably older than that.
Not just that. Did they see his last season?
Yeah, he's.
I did. I got him on my fantasy team. I've had him on my fantasy team for 6 years.
I can't do fantasy baseball.
But and he's been a top keeper for me every year. And then this year, he just awful.
But I mean, we'll see. That's basically the big things in baseball.
Yeah, well, the awards are coming out this week.
Yeah,
rookies of the year were obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Judge and Bellinger both had monster seasons.
Cy Young was Kluber.
Cy Young was Kluber over Sale, which is I think the right
Sale
decision.
had a bad.
Yeah, he had a couple months.
He
he picked it back up in the last month, but after the All-Star break for 2 months, he was just not good. They announced the National League MVP today, Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah, I mean, the guy had 60 home runs almost, right?
Yeah, and if he goes to Boston, he's gonna break 60.
If he stays healthy.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean that's really it for baseball. The awards. I think National League MVP is tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll
didn't you just say that they get? You mean
Cy Young? American League MVP. Sorry.
It's probably gonna be Judge.
Very, very possible.
It's probably Judge.
Yeah.
For football, a couple things happened this week. Ezekiel Elliott finally has just taken the suspension.
Yeah, he
I think
decided
they
I'm
made
done.
a big mistake. I think he should have taken that suspension at the beginning of the year. Let it ride out. They were 5-4 with him, right? What's going to change? Maybe they're 4-5 without him.
Maybe they're 2
Yeah, but still,
7.
now you have him for the stretch run.
Right.
Now, this is the most important part of the season in the first place.
Right.
So now he's missing up until week 16.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think they've given up. I think that's what it is.
I mean,
so,
5-4, they could still make the playoffs as a
could.
wild card.
They could.
Although, one of my points to this week is the NFC has 5 teams with 7 wins right now in the playoff picture. Like
Wow.
the NFC's stacked right now.
Yeah.
And this week, the game I want to see, game of the week, Vikings versus Rams.
It's gonna be a good game.
I mean, Case Keenum versus Goff. Who would have thought that was going to be something special? Like,
Yeah.
but those two teams, the defenses are great.
I actually just picked up Keenan because for my fantasy team because both my quarterbacks have a bye week.
Oh, I mean, he's been good. He's got weapons around him. The team's just performing. The NFC's strong right now. The Saints got 2-headed monster in their running backs.
Yeah.
You know, the Panthers look good against Miami. I messed up. I didn't start Cam Newton. I lost again because of it. I've lost 3 of my fantasy games this year by only combined points of 6 points. I was in first place. Now I'm in second. I'm in second by a couple.
The good thing about football is you only really need to be in the top 4 because then you get into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Or depending on the league, some leagues are 8.
I should get in. But anyways, that's my own personal thing. Coaches that I think should be fired right now. Number 1 is Ben McAdoo of the Giants. His team's quit on him.
Yeah.
They just lost to the San Francisco 49ers. They're not good.
No.
They're not performing for him. They
It doesn't
shut
help
down.
when every one of your receivers gets injured.
Oh, God.
That's just bad news.
I know, but they was not good before that.
Man, the Giants are terrible. I'm going to repeat that. The Giants are terrible.
Oh, yeah.
I say it twice because my nephew-in-law is a huge Giants fan.
What's wrong with him?
And he watches this. So the Giants are terrible.
You need a new team, bud. The second coach that I think should be fired, and this is only his first year with the team, is Vance Joseph. The team has shut him out.
Yeah.
They're not. I think they weren't happy about them cutting TJ Ward. They weren't happy about that. He's not getting that. The Broncos should be one of the top teams, even with the offense that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense is so good, and the problem is the defense is shut down.
Yeah.
And that defense isn't that bad.
That's a Super Bowl defense.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
I mean, Vance Joseph I don't know. He's a new coach.
I mean, he's got growing pains. They haven't given him much for a quarterback. You know, Trevor Siemian and then Brock Osweiler. I mean, Osweiler hasn't looked terrible. I mean, in his first game, he didn't look so good. But against the Patriots, he didn't look that bad.
I mean, he was a defensive coordinator for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And he's not getting that defense to go.
Yeah. But, I mean, like I was saying, Osweiler had, 1 interception last week, and it was in junk time?
Yeah.
So, I mean he
Osweiler was still
so maybe
hitting
maybe
the
that's
cameraman in the
something.
face.
Oh,
poor guy. That guy
funny.
donked him in
Here's
the
the
face.
thing: if you're on the sideline of a football game and
You
you're
gotta
not
pay
watching
attention.
the game, you deserve to get hit.
Yeah, so I mean, those are the two those coaches. I mean, I think maybe Vance Joseph's biting off more than he can chew. They'll probably give him a year.
Yeah, they'll probably give him the rest of this year and half of
Ben
next year.
McAdoo needs to go.
Yeah, McAdoo's terrible.
He's got to go. He can't even answer. Hey, what are you talking? What are you gonna say to the team?
He has no idea.
He doesn't know what to say.
That's because the Giants are terrible.
You know, and then the Bills this week. I talked about how think they were good the other 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And what did they do? Just like I said, they would probably do. They make me look like stupid. Because now they're benching Tyrod Taylor. Like,
when did that happen? I didn't
today
hear that.
or yesterday.
Okay.
And Taylor's saying it's because I'm black. I'm like, come on, guy. Jesus. But anyways, they're benching Taylor. They're going to get. They're just.
So who's quarterback?
I don't even know. Some rookie.
Wow.
And then 2 more join the all injured team this week. Jamie Collins and Richard Sherman.
Yeah.
You know, 2 more beasts out. Like the all IR team could win a Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
It's just crazy. The season has been insane. Martellus Bennett somehow gets his way back on the Patriots, and then he plays and looks pretty good.
Yeah, he did.
It's just that's
the Packers are going to go after him for some of that money back, I think.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe might not be that easy though.
Yeah.
NFL Players Association is really strong. And,
yeah. But
and then my last point of the week is Jerry Jones is still a fool. Just like I said last week, he's basically tucking his tail and running now.
Yeah,
he's realizing
he's just awful.
And basically the other owners said, "Nah, you're not coming to the big kids table anymore. You're not allowed to come to the meetings anymore, the big meetings." So I mean,
that won't last long though. He's still Jerry Jones.
He's not as strong of an owner as you would think. He's kind of looked at as a joke.
Yeah.
It sucks. I mean, he's kind of run. He's been the GM of that team for too long too. He's been needing to hire
that's a
actual
big problem
GM.
with the Cowboys. I mean, they've got good players, so you can't really, I guess, argue about that. But I mean, he should not be GMing a team.
No. So, but that's my sports news of the week. That's what I kind of picked up. That was my key points.
That's what I got too.
So, it brings us to Stardom Cinema. Again, bye week, lots of buys.
But like I said, both my quarterbacks were on a bye this week. I mean, one of them probably wasn't going to play anyways. Jets.
Yeah, the Jets.
McCown.
Yeah,
and I got Garoppolo. I mean, I'm not sure if he'd play anyways.
He wasn't going to play. No,
I think he might this week. After though.
They kind of just.
They keep saying that he's not ruled out. He's not ruled out.
I think he should be playing if you just gave a second round pickup for him to at least see what he got.
Absolutely.
What are you going to franchise him without even? I don't get it.
Right, and here's the thing: you got one win all season, right? That's what the 49ers have, and it was just against the Giants, which...
Well, that's why the Patriots and other teams are. They're smart. But
I mean, they need to get him in the game.
Yeah. I like to see him play. I want to see what he's got in the West Coast offense.
Yeah.
But my number one start of the week, and I think he's been a must start at the last few weeks anyways. He's in Marquise Lee. He's been killing it in PPR. He's leading the team. I think he's got 38 receptions.
Yeah.
He's only had 2 touchdowns, I believe, but he's getting the points every week. In my PPR league, he's got at least 13 points the last 4 weeks. So, he's definitely looking good. He's become their main target over there. They're versing the Browns. So I think he should have a good week. Hey, I did have another good week last week for starts.
You did on the sits too. At least one guy, and I still had him in my lineup with Hunter Henry.
Yeah,
I had to. I needed him in my flex.
I don't like him. I told you I don't like him.
I needed him in my flex.
So my second start of the week. Again, I usually try to do, one of each position. This week I kind of was heavy on the wide receiver because I just like the matchups. But my other start is I like Jay Ajayi versus Dallas. This is 3rd week in the system.
Yeah.
He actually played the first week, which he played more than I thought he was going to play against the Broncos, and he did good.
Yeah, he did.
So I like that matchup. I like him versus Dallas, and if Sean Lee's out, I especially like him against Dallas.
Yeah. And last week he broke off that 80-something yard run, right? Was that last week or the week before?
2 weeks ago. I don't think it was 80-something. It was a good run though. I think it was like 40-something yards. It was against the Broncos, I believe.
Gotcha.
But I mean, Jay Ajayi against Dallas, and if Dallas doesn't have Lee, he should be a good pickup. I got Larry Fitzgerald versus Houston. Now I picked a receiver every week against Houston because they are getting torched, and so I like Larry Fitz this week. He's just he's been solid anyways the last few weeks.
Yeah.
He's that guy's. I wish the Patriots could have managed to get him. But yeah, I love Larry Fitzgerald versus the Houston Texans. Now, the Patriots, I'm still down on their secondary. I mean, they looked pretty good last week.
They did.
Malcolm Butler kind of got torched, but I think Michael Crabtree will have a good game against the Pats, if anything.
Yeah.
They'll probably shut down Cooper because one of them is going to get locked up by Stephon Gilmore because Gilmore looked good.
He looked good last week.
But I like Michael Crabtree, even if he's going through the middle. Pats usually let one person get their yards and they cover up the other one, you know. So they're bend but don't break. But I think Crabtree will, especially maybe in a PPR league, he should be a start. And then my last one is Cameron Brate, tight end versus Miami. Miami's defense isn't all that good. They're getting torched. And I like Cameron Brate. He's been solid all year.
Yeah.
So I think he's a must start versus the Miami Dolphins. Again, I'm not gonna tell you Gronk or one of those top ones, but those are my starts for the week. My sits, number one. This has been everybody's darling. He's been great the last couple weeks, but I don't like Jared Goff's matchup against the Vikings.
Really?
It's two defenses that are nasty.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a low. I think it's gonna be a low scoring game. I think it's a must watch game, but I just think that the Vikings defense is too much, and they may find a way to shut him down this week. Which brings me to my other sit is Marvin Jones versus the Bears. It's another division match right here. Division game. Bears have actually been surprisingly good against the pass. I think they've only let up 2 deep balls. They're not good, but it's a division matchup.
Yeah.
So I think Marvin Jones, he's had a couple good weeks in a row. Remember, I started him against the Packers a few weeks ago because he was always good against them. But this division matchup, I think he's a sit. Another division matchup. Dez Bryant versus the Eagles. I think Dez Bryant, they don't have any Zeke. They're going to focus on one player. And I think Dez will get shut down against the Eagles.
Yeah, he's been a little lackluster the past couple of years.
He's been lackluster the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And then I do not like Jimmy Graham versus the Falcons. I just think that they're going to... the receivers, Paul Richardson and... oh my God. Doug Baldwin, they're probably gonna get more targets. I don't like I think the Falcons will lock up Graham. They're coming off a huge week with the sacks. They're getting to the quarterback.
Yeah, they're starting to turn their defense around.
Yeah, so maybe Russell Wilson gets out of a little bit more than Dak did, but it's a similar thing.
Bit, but I mean,
their line hasn't been great.
Russell's not 100% either.
No, Russell Wilson's just been he's got balls though. That guy's great.
He does.
But here's my thing. My last player that I would say sit, and he was probably one of the number one, at least top 10 pickups for the waivers this week, is Rex Burkhead. Everyone, I picked him up a couple weeks too, but just because they're playing Oakland has some good linebackers.
Yeah.
Everyone picked him up, so just my gut says he's not going to do good. It's just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like that's the type of thing, like, once everyone gets hyped on a player, boom, that next week he doesn't show up.
Yeah.
I think it's a big game for Dion Lewis in this game.
Yeah, see, I was thinking the opposite myself, but, I think you go either way.
Yeah.
One of them will have a good game, the other one maybe not so much.
See, I like Lewis because he does catch a lot of balls. Rex does catch balls out of the backfield. Obviously, he's been getting receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
He can line up in the slot and stuff. I just think that it's just that feeling of mine that because everyone picked him up, he's not going to do it.
Yeah. The other thing is Rex and Dion could both have bad weeks, and James White has a big week.
And then who knows if Gillislee's going to play?
Right.
They have an absolutely stacked deep running back core.
Yeah.
When you can bench someone like Gillislee.
Well, and Dion Lewis is, I think, and this might just be homerism, I don't know, but I think he's becoming an elite running back.
I've loved Lewis for a while. He just can't stay healthy. That's his only problem.
Right, this year he is.
Yeah, hopefully, but, I just read a thing on how stacked the Patriots, 2 positions at tight end and running back, they're freaking stacked. Yeah. They got 4 tight ends on the roster. Dwayne Allen's better than any third tight end in the league, even though he's only catching one ball.
Better than most tight ends.
He's a good blocker. You got Martellus Bennett back. Gronk, self-explanatory. Yeah. Jacob Hollister's a good athletic kid.
He's pretty good. As a fourth.
As a fourth, he's good on special teams. He's not really he's not really a blocker, but I could see him in the future catching the ball a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's a stacked team. Not to go on a tangent, but it's not hard to like picture one of them going off every game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I just think that Burkhead will because everyone picked him won't be good this week.
Yeah.
So
that's that.
Yeah.
On to your lock of the week.
Lock of the week. Again, I usually don't like to pick obvious games here, but I'm gonna have to just do it. Screw the G-men. Kansas City's gonna go in there and rape them. Like, Kansas City has been kind of on a little downspin. G-men are just a team to get them in the right direction.
Yep.
They're coming off a bye. I still like Andy Reid. You know, he's not great at time management, but I just think that they're the G-men are in trouble this week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and again, to pick up the theme from a few minutes ago, the Giants are terrible.
Terrible.
Do TV and movie news, comic TV and movie news. First thing, big thing came out this week was a Deadpool trailer.
Yes.
I gotta say, I wasn't a fan of the trailer. I think it's trying way too hard.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Did you hear what the name is going to be called of the sequel?
What?
They're not calling it Deadpool 2. They're calling it Untitled Deadpool Sequel. I just think it's funny. He's trolling everyone.
He is, but I think it's getting to the point where he's just trying too hard now.
Hey.
I mean, the first one was great. I loved it, and I don't think it was like that. It wasn't trying too hard. It was just being Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's being, he's back to oh my God, why can't I think of the actor's name? Ryan Reynolds. He's back to being Ryan Reynolds, not Deadpool.
I just think Ryan Reynolds was born to play that part.
He was, but
he takes it on as
going. I think he's just going too far with it now. And
I could see him playing that part for like a few years.
Yeah.
Like, just because he loves it so much.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not playing Deadpool anymore, though. He's playing Van Wilder in a Deadpool costume.
I mean,
you know, and
Deadpool in the comics is kind of like that.
It's not to that extent, though. I mean, at least he might be now, but his whole beginning wasn't that bad. And I just think, I don't know. I was watching it and I was getting a little chuckle here and there, but he's just trying too hard.
No, we'll see.
At least in the trailer.
I think
the
we're
movie
gonna
may not be like that because
Yeah.
Really, you don't see much of the movie in the trailer. It's him being Bob Ross for the first
it's kind of
70% of it.
I laughed at it.
I laughed a little bit of it, but I think he's trying a little too hard. They haven't revealed Cable fully yet. They showed him in that painting and the thing, but
that was kind of cool.
And then his hand at the very end, grabbing the gun. That's what I'm looking forward to in this movie.
Cable's
Cable.
Cool.
I've always liked Cable. He's never been a favorite, but I've liked him, and I think Josh Brolin is going to be great. He's just a great actor.
Oh, they're definitely gonna troll the fact that Josh Brolin is also playing Thanos.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're gonna it's gonna be hilarious.
You know, he's not. Josh Brolin won't be making the jokes.
No,
Deadpool is going to be all over him about it. Though. And I think that'll be funny.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of stuff that Deadpool does.
Yeah.
All the over the top innuendo and stuff. That's what I'm talking about with the trying too hard, and being just Van Wilder instead of Deadpool. But I mean, I haven't had a chance to watch any of the normal shows I watched this week. Very busy week for me, personal life. So I mean, you can talk about those.
I mean, Supergirl, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Supergirl was kind of good. Like, they did a flashback episode.
Yeah.
Where it was the whole episode. They went back to her home of Midland or Midville or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I guess the sister was having issues, so they go back to try and feel at home. But the whole episode is basically younger versions of themselves.
Yeah.
So it's like back to like Smallville style.
Yeah.
But she's not Supergirl yet. She's just her and her sister. They don't like each other because she's a that the father disappeared, all that stuff. But in the show they bring a couple callbacks, kind of cool things. They
said something about Chloe Sullivan.
They talk about Chloe Sullivan as, with the Wall of Weird, which they brought back to Smallville, which kind of can make Smallville part of the Arrowverse.
Almost, but there's a couple things that don't make sense. In that, you know.
But it's kind of cool, like that they can do that.
Although it could be an alternate universe, and if if Smallville's an alternate universe, then Chloe Sullivan could still.
Yes.
It's a different Chloe Sullivan, same girl, but different version of her. She could still have her wall of weird, and you know. You're right. It kind of puts Smallville into their universe.
Yeah. So
he's said that he wouldn't mind playing Superman.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. Who knows? It'd be cool if he showed up in Crisis X, but it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, it's too. I think
that's next week, I believe, which is cool.
Is it next week? Yeah, it was in November.
So what they're doing is they're actually changing.
We have 2 weeks off.
Yeah, they're changing Arrow to Monday night.
Yeah.
Versus the Thursday night, so it's gonna be Monday.
Right, because they're gonna do two.
Yeah, 2 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday. Really cool.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I always love that.
You gotta catch up because Legends of Tomorrow's cool this week.
Yeah.
They went back in time and Hollywood, and it was Helen of Troy was misplaced, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And everyone was googly eyes over her, all the men.
Right.
And apparently, because of her, wars kept breaking out all the time. So, whatever, just to skip to the end.
That makes sense, because she's the reason for the Battle of Troy.
Yeah. So, skip to the end of the episode, when they're fixing the time, they're bringing her back in time. The new girl, I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I don't remember it either.
I like her, but she doesn't. Helen of Troy doesn't want to go back to her home because she doesn't want to be around the fight.
Mm-hmm.
So the new girl is the one taking her back, but takes her back to her time, but to a different place. She brings them to Themyscira, and it was a cool little call to Wonder Woman. So now you got Wonder Woman kind of getting mentioned in the Arrowverse.
Yep.
You got Superman, you got Batman getting.
Yep.
So it's kind of cool. It could happen, maybe not.
They're extending out the universe to the big, to the heavy hitters.
Did you watch Flash?
No.
Flash was good too. The elongated man. I really like that actor. Like the guy in the show, he's kind of brought like a little funny to the show, but I kind of like him. So there was more of that growing bond with them too.
That's good.
Not to say much about that because I'm sure that's probably more like something you'd want to watch.
Yeah.
And of course we have Arrow tonight. Gifted was good.
Yeah.
Gifted, kind of what we said a couple weeks ago about the brother sister, about how they were these powerful they used their powers together.
Yep.
And they thought maybe they were from the 60s. That next episode is going to show more about it.
I heard that they referenced the Von Struckers, the Fenris twins.
Yeah, so they're basically kind of what we thought. They're either displaced in time or they're distant relatives of the original.
Right.
And I think that's what's going to happen because next week's episode, they're visiting his father.
I knew it couldn't be coincidental that they had that last name and they were brother sister mutants.
But that show's really good.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Did you watch the finale of Inhumans?
Yes.
Stinkfest.
Yeah, the finale let me down.
Boring.
Boring. The big thing that, I mean, not the biggest thing, but the thing that bugged me a lot is, and spoilers, obviously, when he finally talks, and he says good, it was a cool scene.
Something like that.
It was a cool concept, cool scene. He barely did any damage to that thing. He should have disintegrated that building.
Yeah.
Instead of just make it break
a little bit. So
still,
who knows? I don't think it's getting picked up for another one.
Oh no, it was canceled before it even started.
Maybe where they're on Earth now, maybe they'll tie into S.H.I.E.L.D. a little bit more.
Yeah.
When S.H.I.E.L.'d's back, speaking of S.H.I.E.L.D., did you see the preview?
December 1st. Yeah.
Looks good.
That's a Brood, I think.
Yeah. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
They could be again, I think they might be going towards S.W.O.R.D. Agents of S.W.O.R.D.
Yeah, I mean, not to lean against that or not, but I looked at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 6 on IMDb. There's no Abigail, whatever her last name is, the leader of S.W.O.R.D. in the
but
show.
they could just be hiding it.
That
could be a big thing.
They could. It's tough to do with IMDb though. That stuff always gets out there.
But they don't, they've been able to hide some things. Like at first we didn't really know about a few things last season.
It's true. That's true. I just want to see some new characters brought in again. I thought it was great last year with Ghost Rider, obviously, and Ada and all that stuff.
Yeah, I really love that season.
I want more cool characters brought in.
Did you see the part of Mac in the trailer? He goes, "No, we can't split up."
Yeah.
He goes, "We all know who dies first."
Yeah.
I literally laughed. So
funny.
if you haven't seen that trailer, go watch that. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comes back December 1st.
Looks really good.
I love that show. Like it's picked up. My buddy Jay me and Louie, my buddy Louie, were trying to convince him to watch it. Like, because the first season was hard, but then Grant Ward, who Louie really stands by as one of the best villains in all of Marvel, and I think he's really good. So December 1st, that's coming out. Yeah. But tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, two things.
The movie we'll get to, but
Punisher.
Punisher
comes out tomorrow.
Punisher comes out tomorrow. Unfortunately, I'll be somewhere else tomorrow night watching something else that we'll get to.
We'll see.
But in Saturday, I've got stuff going on Saturday. I'm gonna try and watch I'm gonna try and watch as much as I can. But my wife and I will watch it together. So we gotta get our schedules.
I'm watching it.
But she's into all that stuff just as much as I am.
No,
so but I'm looking forward to that.
Got really good reviews.
I'm hoping they do it justice. I hope that they don't just make him just like a crazy killer that's killing people.
No. Well, I read reviews and it really broke it down.
You know what I think would be a great addition to that show is if he has his journal. Because it's something that would be small, but would be a great throwback to his old comic book Punisher War Journal.
Yeah.
And if he just like every now and then, it doesn't have to be consistent, like every episode. But every now and then, if you just see him jotting something down in Punisher's War Journal, that would be awesome. They did it in the Thomas Jane movie. Towards the end, he starts like dictating, and it's like number 1 or something like that, in the War Journal entry 1, or something along those lines. I only remember that because it was just on like 2 days ago when I watched it. But I think that would be a great thing to put in there. I mean, microchips in it, which is good because that's that time frame.
And from the reviews, they said that he plays the character better than even the comics portrays him.
Which one, Punisher or
Microchip?
Microchip?
Yeah, they say that he's like way better than he is even in the comics, which is hard to do when you're on a TV show. Yeah. But the only other news I really saw this week, and I just saw it today, was that Black Lightning is scheduled to come back after the winter break.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's going to take Legends' spot, and I think Legends is going to move to Mondays, possibly, behind Supergirl. But as of right now, Vala is going to finish up, and I think once Vala, they're coming back early. Yeah. And once Vala is out, I think the Legends will take, because Legends is still a shorter season. Yeah. It's still only 16 or 17 episodes versus 23 or 22, 23. Yeah. And I think Black Lightning's only going to be like 16 episodes as well.
I would imagine it'd be less than that as the first season.
So that's coming back in December when all the other shows come back, and it's going to be on Tuesday.
Are they still saying it's not part of the
They haven't said anything, but maybe it could be a surprise. It'd be pretty cool, I think.
Let's hope. That's pretty much it for TV.
Yep, that's it.
Movies. We got 3 new movies coming out this week.
We all know the
big one, Justice League. I'm looking forward to it. Reviews have been mixed.
It's just
the Rotten Tomatoes has a 43%. That's never a good sign. I mean, I don't always trust that stuff. I usually don't trust that stuff at all. But it still shows that some people don't like it. Some people do.
This is kind of what I said today. Is like I'm not having the biggest support of these DC movies. No, I'm not no Marvel fanboy. I'm not a DC fanboy. I just don't think they have been as fun. With that saying, these movie writers only care about either story or fun.
Right.
So they're already not gonna, they don't like the darker tone. They like the funny tone. Mm-hmm. So these movie writers are already against,
right.
It no matter what.
Right. No, I agree with that.
So I just think I always just let my own judgment,
The movie's gonna, I'm sure, satisfy me for the most part. the things I really want out of it are a couple of good surprises.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to do in movies these days with the surprises because there's
everyone
so much
ruins it
social
for you.
media. You know, everybody knows everything, and somebody, and even people even throw out fake stuff.
I think there's even going to be
a
after credit scene.
There's a post credit
Yeah.
scene. I think we talked about that last week. But I mean, I just want a Green Lantern appearance out of it.
I'd love to see Martian Manhunter.
Darkseid. They're talking about wanting to get him in there, but I don't think it won't be in this. I don't think because they are discussing him and the possibility of him getting a movie.
One of the reviews I wrote is that, or read, was that Ben Affleck you could tell everyone else is having fun with their role, and Ben Affleck is looking like he doesn't want to play Batman in the role.
Yeah, well, that's the rumor
disappointing.
going out there anyways. Is that
Kind of
he
disappointing.
doesn't want to do it. He's playing Batman because his son wanted him to.
Like, I don't understand why. I don't know. I just wish we can get someone to stick with the Batman.
Yeah.
It's one of the most iconic characters, and no one wants to stick with it.
He is probably, well, you got Superman, I guess, but he's probably 1A for most iconic characters.
Yeah.
Superman's 1, he's 1A, then you got Spider-Man.
I mean, you got Marvel characters. You got Robert Downey Jr., who's been Iron Man a bunch of times. You got Hugh Jackman, who was Wolverine for 20 years.
These guys get 9, 10 movie contracts.
You know, and then in DC, you can't get someone to keep the Batman role. No. I don't get it.
No, you can't keep anybody to keep any of the roles.
It's insane.
I say that, but there's only really been the two, Batman and Superman.
Maybe it's because it's just not as fun to film as in those Marvel films. They're having fun filming.
They're having a good time, and that's the thing. And you know, a lot of the DC fans like the darker tone and stuff like that. But you gotta understand that isn't always gonna lead to people wanting to continue a role or money coming in. I mean, Justice League is gonna make $1 billion.
It's gonna make the money.
But it would probably make more if it was a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
You know, but
the other thing I read too was that they try to, because Wonder Woman was so successful, they try to push Wonder Woman down your throat.
Right.
So we're gonna have to pass judgment. We'll have to do our own judgment tomorrow. We'll talk about it next week.
I will. I'm not gonna let these guys,
ruin it.
But anyways, about the movie itself, storyline. Steppenwolf comes to Earth. He tries, I guess, where Superman's now dead. He comes to Earth. He tries to take over the world, which they had done centuries ago. You know, he came and did the same thing. I believe, and I could be mistaken on this, but I believe in the storyline that's what happens to Atlantis. Is because Steppenwolf comes, and I think a couple other his
little minions,
with all the parademons, obviously, they come and it's up to the Justice League to stop them. You know, that's why they need to come together. Not much of a spoiler here. Superman comes back. It's gonna happen. But the weird thing, and they've dropped it now from their advertising for this movie, is their tagline has always been "Unite the Seven" for this movie. There's only 6 here. So they've dropped it from their advertising. I don't know if that means that they changed their mind or if they said, "Hey, let's drop it, let it happen in the movie, and people will be surprised." A lot of people don't remember that was their tagline.
Yeah.
Or just didn't look at the number of people and counted. It's Unite the Seven, the 7 Justice League members. There's only 6 in all the advertising. Actually, in all the advertising, there's only 5 because Superman's been nowhere to be found. I think they know that everybody knows he's coming back.
Yeah.
They don't want you to see what he looks like, is what it is.
It's probably going to come with black suit.
It's going to be the black suit Superman. I mean, Henry Cavill's been tweeting that for months. You know, little hints of that. So he's going to be in the black suit. I'm curious if he's going to have the beard, because he didn't when he first came back in the original Death of Superman. But there was another storyline where he did, and they're saying that he might have the beard. I hope not. I think it's an ugly look for Superman.
Did you hear that he was filming another movie and he actually had to have a mustache for the movie?
Yeah.
So this whole movie they had to CGI out his mustache.
I heard something like that. I didn't know how true that was.
So weird.
Yeah, it is. But so that's Justice League.
Yeah.
We could probably sit here for another hour talking about it, but we'll move on.
We'll have to let you know our reviews next week.
There's another movie coming out called The Star. It's the first story of Christmas. It's a kids movie. It's about a donkey and his friends who are on a journey to Bethlehem to see Christ. Looks cute. Looks cute, a little funny. It's not something I would see in the theater.
No.
But it's probably something I'd watch when it actually comes out on demand or whatever. The other one is Wonder. Reminds me a lot of the old movie Mask, not the Jim Carrey movie, obviously, but the one with Cher in it, with Rocky Dennis. He's a young boy. He was born with a facial deformity. He's always worn something to cover it whenever he goes out. The space helmet. I don't know if that's all the time with the space helmet, but there's always something covering it. But he gets to the point where I believe they moved to a new town, and he needs to enter a normal school for the first time. Schooling. Right. Well, he was always in private schools.
Oh yeah.
So he needs to go into a real school for the first time in the 5th grade. Being a kid in the 5th grade is hard enough as it is. Being different's even worse. This is going to make it even harder for him. Looks like a sad movie that'll end nice. I don't like to cry in the movie theaters, so I'm not going to go see it.
I don't want to see that movie.
I don't mind crying at a movie. I've done it many times in my life. I'm man enough to say that. But I don't want to cry in the movie theater. Toy Story 3. That's kind of sad. But
it's a sad movie.
But probably won't watch this at all. I mean, it's probably going to be a good movie. But this
probably get one of those picture of the year movies that we're just not interested in.
There's movies that are good movies that I can acknowledge are good movies that I just don't want to see because I don't want to have certain feelings. You know, they're watching a movie, and this will probably be one of them. But so that's it for the movies, and we'll move on to the gaming spotlight. All right, so this week's gaming spotlight is it's a collectible, or not a collectible card game. It's different. It's a deck building game. It's called Legendary. It's based on Marvel Comics. This is the top of the box. I would pick up the whole thing and tilt it, but it's kind of heavy. Just because I've bought in so many expansions to this because. There's the base game, which comes with a bunch of characters, mostly Avengers characters, like 4 or 6 villains, and you go from there. But I mean, I have 1, 2, 3. These are all the instruction booklets. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different sets.
And you probably are missing 2 or 3.
There's 3 that I'm missing now. A new one came out recently. I'm missing the Deadpool set. I'm missing the Fantastic Four set, which thankfully they reprinted. It was going for over $100 because it was limited. But they reprinted it, so I can go get it again. And there's a new one that just came out. I don't remember what it's called. But so I've only got some of it here. I didn't bring it all because it would just take up too much space. But you get a game board like this. If I can get it open here.
Really fun game. I enjoy it.
So here's the game board. I'll just show this to you for a minute. It's got all your different areas. I'll explain what everything means here. But what it is there's a villain. There's so many different villains now with all the expansions. But you pick a villain. You have a scheme that the villain is trying to accomplish. So the scheme has all its own different rules and everything like that. I don't think I brought the schemes in with me. And then you recruit heroes from the headquarters. So you get a hero deck, which has 5 different heroes all shuffled in. They all have 14 cards. There's probably 6 or 7 different versions. Maybe not that many, but at least 5 different versions of all the characters. And you build a deck with that. Now, if you've ever played any kind of trading card game at all, it's the same concept with the abilities, attack, defense, things like that. How much is it now?
21.
21, not bad for the Fantastic Four. Sorry about that. So, you recruit your heroes with recruit points, which on the cards are little stars. Let me close this up. I don't need this open right now. What do I got here? So, let me pull out Captain America. Yeah, I know he's got some of both. So, you've got stars. It's going to be hard to see from back there, but you got stars and you've got a little claw mark. It kind of looks like Wolverine's claw. The claw is attack. This is recruit. Now in this corner you have a number. That's how much it costs to recruit the character. When you recruit the character with your stars, he goes into your discard pile. as you play the game, you reshuffle your discard pile and it becomes a draw pile again. And then those heroes you've recruited go in there. You start the game with 4 characters, just shield agents that have 1 attack, and 8 characters that have 1 recruit. That way you can recruit guys easier because they give you more recruit than attack. The only downside to that is when you attack a villain, you have less to start. So as the game goes along, minor villains come out and they go through the city. There's 5 spots on the city. They enter the city in the first spot. When the new one comes out, it bumps them down as they go. If they get to that last spot and then they get bumped out, they escape. You want to have that happen as little as possible because when a villain escapes, it takes points off of the ending totals. The idea is for the team, you and your friends that are playing, to defeat the villain. But from there, there's a winner. With the person who has the most points wins the game. But there's so many different characters in this. It is all Marvel. But, I mean, you've got characters from different eras. Like, there's 1941 Captain America. There's regular Steve Rogers Captain America. Well, I mean, they're both Steve Rogers. But there's current era Steve Rogers. There's Falcon Captain America. And then you got the Guardians are in it. Guardians of the Galaxy. X-Men are in it. I believe X-Men are in it, right? Yeah. Spider-Man's in it. The Spider-Man team is really fun. If you like to have a deck that you draw a lot of cards, the Spider-Man team is super fun. They're all pretty cheap to recruit. I think they're all mostly 2 to recruit, and with the right combination, you can just draw cards for days and have your entire deck in your hand. I've done that before, and it's pretty fun.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have to have the set to play? Can you get an expansion and play?
No, you need to have the starting game to play. Now, it is a little expensive to get. It is a $50 game.
Right now, cool stuff,
40 to 50. 40 to 50. Some places are more expensive. If you go to like a Barnes & Noble, it'll probably be 59 maybe.
Yeah.
But no, you do need to have the base. Or if you want to start out with the bad guys, there's a villain version of the game. They do intermingle with each other, so you can play both together, which I do, and I'm having issues with like the road map. I can't get it close.
I had a shot.
But you can play the villains and heroes on the same team even if you wanted to. Now, you got to get used to the keywords being a little different, but meaning the same thing. But it is fun to put heroes and villains together. I mean, it might sound like a child saying that, but it is a cool concept to be able to do that. But, I mean, the game probably takes anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half to play.
Yeah, depends on when you play against Thanos.
Right, it depends on the villain and the scheme and the combination of the two and how tough it is or how easy it is.
I mean, the Secret Wars it's kind of cool. They have Illuminati as a team.
Yep.
So that's cool.
Yep. The worst part, the one bad thing I will say about this game, it takes forever to set up.
Oh.
Because you need to pick your heroes. I mean, you can always just randomly just pick heroes, which is fun sometimes, but I like to have a theme to it. So if I have Loki with something in Asgard as a scheme, I want to have Thor and probably the Avengers because they fight Loki. If I have Magneto as the villain, I want to have the X-Men. If I have Doom as the villain, well, I mean, I can't have the Fantastic Four because I don't have them yet. But, you know, a team that makes sense to go against Doom, I don't know, Doctor Strange and stuff like that. So I like to have themes. So sitting there deciding who you want to use
is tough.
Is tough. And, you know, you always want to use your favorite guy, but it gets a little boring from time to time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know you want to play Iron Man all the time, but sometimes it's just not going to make sense.
I think next time we play, we'll do a whole different thing. But,
yeah,
you know, I've only played it a few times now, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a game. What we're doing is in a couple weeks, we have a bunch of people coming over to Zach's house, and we're all going to play. The good thing about having all the different expansions with it is we can play multiple games. Like, if we get more than the 5 people that they say, we can do 2 games at the same time.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's something that you can have a party with. It could be considered a party game.
Yeah.
And what you can do is if you do have 2 groups, instead of just having it be, okay, you 5 play over there and you 5 play over there, you play there, but then you're competing against each other to see who can get the villain down first. or something like that. You can throw things like that out there. And there's variant rules on a website I go to, Board Game Geek, I think is what it's called, where they have it for 6 people, where you can do other things. But that's all house rule stuff. In the rule book itself, it only has it for 5 people. But it's one of the funnest games I've played as far as a all-inclusive or a living card game, I guess is what you could call it. It's a living card game with a deck building aspect. And it's the most fun game I've played with that kind of concept. Although I must say I haven't played the DC one. It doesn't look as fun just looking at the way it's set up. But I mean, Legendary is a super fun game that's easy to learn and pretty addictive once you get going. I mean, I didn't want to stop. We were playing the other night. I didn't want to stop, but it was already midnight almost. Oh, yeah. And my wife was waiting for me at her friend's house for an hour before I was done playing. Mm-hmm. So I definitely suggest trying it. Maybe you got a friend who's got it, who's asked you to play and you're weary on it, or maybe you've seen it in the store and you've thought about it. Definitely get it if you got the extra money. Again, it's an expensive game to get into, but once you do, you'll have fun for a long time. And it's
made by Upper Deck, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, Upper Deck makes it so the card quality is good, and their gaming isn't abundant, but what they have is fun.
Yeah, I might actually pick it up.
Yeah,
just in case.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the buy.
Yeah, so I enjoy it, and I think I want to play some more.
Yeah, absolutely, and we will in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
we got everybody coming over, so that's the game of the week. All right, so on to the classic comic storyline this week. Now, I'm gonna try and keep this as short as I can for a 14-issue comic book run, but this week's is Maximum Carnage, classic Spider-Man story. You got Carnage, Cletus Cassidy. He's in prison. He breaks out of prison and he goes on a murderous rampage. It's not that simple.
He's one of my favorite.
That's pretty much what it is.
He's been one of my favorite comic book characters.
He escapes, and while he's doing his killing spree, he runs into a character named Shriek. She's a kind of a crazy lady. She's got sonic powers, I believe. Maybe some sort of mental abilities too. And she teams up with him. Now you've got 2 pretty dangerous people out there, so obviously Spider-Man tries to stop them. Along the way, he also picks up Doppelganger, which is from the one of the Secret Wars stories, I believe, is where he showed up originally. But he's basically Spider-Man with 6 arms and really sharp teeth, and so he joins Carnage. So Spider-Man obviously can't do this himself, so he goes to get some help, and the best person to fight a symbiote is another symbiote. So he goes to get Venom.
His spawn.
and right. And Venom hates Spider-Man still, but he understands that Carnage is worse. So he reluctantly helps Spider-Man, but not necessarily to help Spider-Man, but to stop Carnage. This is really where Venom became more the anti-hero character than the villain character. So as time goes along, they're all fighting each other, and then Carnage picks up a couple more friends.
Oh yeah.
He gets Demogoblin, who's he's light green goblin, but he's actually possessed by a demon. He's got the glider. He throws pumpkin bombs. Those pumpkin bombs are fiery and whatever. Mm-hmm. And then he gets Carrion. Now Carrion, in my opinion, he's a really dangerous character. I mean, all he needs to do is touch you. He's got kind of a death touch almost. You don't instantly die, but you shrivel up. He's ugly though. He's a terrible looking character. But the character himself is pretty dangerous. So now Spider-Man and Venom realize that they're not going to, Spider-Man realizes that they're not going to be able to do this himself, and Venom starts to pull away from Spider-Man too. So Spider-Man gets a bunch of friends to help him out in random points of the storyline. Captain America, Black Cat, Nightwatch, Cloak and Dagger, Iron Fist, Deathlock, Morbius, Firestar. All of them help out. At one point they go to the Baxter building. I believe the Fantastic Four weren't around, but they go to the Baxter building to get a sonic gun to use. So I mean, there's so many characters in this storyline, and the storyline is just so well put together. It's a fun read, and it was so good that it had pop culture things come out of it. You had Maximum Carnage video game, which followed the story pretty damn closely. It was for the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. Shows you how old
Oh
it
my
is.
god, that game.
But
that
I
game
used to
still
sit in
sounds
my
so crazy.
I used to sit in my bedroom playing that game for hours on end. And to give you a little insight as to how I used to be when I was a kid, not quite a kid, but I'm sitting there listening to the Snoop Dogg Doggy Style album because that was just out recently when that came out. So I had that playing. So I still associate the video game with a couple of the songs, but the video game was one of the most fun games I've ever played. If I could get it on the cheap right now, I would.
You can't.
But you can't. It's way too expensive. It also, Universal Studios Islands of Adventure, during their Halloween Horror Nights one year, they made a part of the park into Maximum Carnage, where Carnage was around, and so the story has pop culture impact, and it's just this from start to finish. It's just super fun. There's 14 issues, so it's quite a lengthy read. You don't really need to read the issues before it. Reading the issues after, there's obviously repercussions, but it's not a necessity. So it's another one of those self-contained stories. Does that say $300?
It does.
It's probably in the box and all that.
Even when the $179.
But it's self-contained in the 14 issues, and it's definitely worth picking up and reading. It might take you a while to read it. Read it in bits and pieces if you need to. But it's worth it. And you can get the books relatively cheap. You could probably, I know around here there's a couple stores that sell runs of comics. You could probably get the set or even the trade paperback, pretty easily. So it came out during the high time of comic books where everything was mass produced beyond belief. So they're out there. You can get them in 50-cent bins some places not, but it's worth it if you can get them for
Marvel also has
a
app that you can read every comic they
That's true too. You can get it on the Marvel app. That might be a little more expensive.
I think it's $10 a month.
Oh, it's a monthly fee?
Yeah.
I thought it was a per issue fee. So $10 a month, you can read the whole story in a month. You get it for $10. But it's definitely worth getting, and it's a great read. I love this story. It's really what made me become such a big Carnage fan, because he's one of my favorites.
I've always liked him.
So yeah, that's the classic storyline this week. Alright, so from there we're gonna go on to the wrestling recaps of the week.
Pretty big week.
It started out not so impressive, and then it turned into something pretty big this week.
Yeah.
You got Charlotte beating Natalia for the women's title.
We talked about that last week.
I knew it was going to happen.
It was kind of leaked.
I knew it was going to happen. Charlotte and Alexa is the match everybody wants to see.
When Ric Flair came back to breed her at
that
entrance,
was emotional.
AJ Styles versus the Beast.
Yeah, AJ Styles versus Brock. We knew that was happening last week anyways, but yeah, so that should be an interesting match. My question, now that Charlotte got into that match, Natalia was not announced as their 5th member.
Don't be shocked if it's Paige.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Paige is going to show up because they said on SmackDown, it hasn't been announced yet.
Yeah.
We'll find out on Sunday.
So watch what will probably happen is Natalia will come down to the ring, or start to come down to the ring, and maybe Paige attacks her.
Well, what I'm thinking is during the show they're going to ask Natalia to be member number 5. She's going to say, no, I don't want to do it, or just, complain. She has something to do with her cats or whatever. But, so they'll only start with the 4. And during the match, Paige will show up, if they want to get real suspenseful with it. She may just come down as a 5th member at the beginning of the match. I don't know, but I really think that's what it's going to be, is because she's supposed to be coming back any day now. And
that's been ruined in the last couple episodes.
Yeah.
So
what better time? Was that
Survivor Series is Sunday, which is cool.
Yep. New Day versus the Shield.
Let's go Shield.
That's going to be a good match, I think. I think they match up really well, like we were saying last week. I think Rollins and Ambrose versus Kofi and Xavier is pretty good. I think the weak link in the whole match is Xavier Woods. I don't think he's as good as the other 5. New Day was actually funny on SmackDown when they're talking about championships.
Yeah.
They're like,
we got 27 championships
combined, the Shield has 13 champions and championships. And Kofi's like, that's a lot. And they're like, oh yeah, that's a lot. He's like, but between the three of us, we have at least 27. And then Xavier was like, most of them are Kofi. And then Biggie's like, yeah, they're pretty much all Kofi. So that's what I like about the New Day. They rip on themselves and everybody else.
And I mean, they're a huge draw with kids.
They are. So. But Shield right now, Shield is the group I'm the biggest.
Yeah, I don't think they're not gonna break that up yet. So, they're making a lot of money on them again.
Yeah, they're absolutely. And speaking of the Shield, they started the invasion this week on Raw. They were the three that came down. I mean, on SmackDown. And they come down to the ring 3-on-5.
They don't care.
And they don't care. They just get in there and they still beat the crap out of them.
Well, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn
Kevin
out of the ring.
Left, but
I have a feeling they're gonna be part. I feel like they're gonna be a part of something at the Survivor Series.
Maybe
because they're not on the show.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that they'll have the show off. But it was great the way they did it too. It wasn't the way SmackDown did it, where they just came in as a group and those three came down. And then some of the SmackDown guys came out. And to counteract that, here comes Finn Balor, Samoa Joe. These big guys.
Yeah.
It wasn't SmackDown's best against Raw's worst again. SmackDown had their guys out there, except for AJ. Where the hell he was, I don't know. But and Jinder wasn't there either.
That's interesting. Yeah.
You know what? I don't think Randy Orton was there. Now that I think about it, but they had the other guys. They had Bobby Roode. Yeah. Shinsuke was out there. But Raw brings their top talent, but then they start to get overwhelmed a little bit, and then Braun.
Now that you say that, I don't remember seeing AJ, because they probably don't want to have AJ get dominated before the match.
Right.
So that makes a lot of sense.
But Jinder could have gone out there.
Jinder could have been out there, but Jinder's pissed off about losing the title, so that makes sense for him to not be out there.
And Brock wasn't there on the other side. Kane wasn't there from the other side. So
he's power
so it was offset. So it was offset. The talent that was missing, at least in this one, was offset on both sides. But then Braun shows up.
Oh, yeah.
Once he shows up, it's all over. I mean, that guy, I say it every week, he's just too big and too strong. And you can't... Eventually, he's going to win the championship, and it's going to be a bad move.
I can't wait. I also think that Shane McMahon's got the biggest balls in the whole company, because he takes bump after bump with no care in the world.
Yeah. Although he's also an idiot, because he goes and tries to attack Braun Strowman.
Yeah. He's Shane, though. He's got the biggest balls in the world.
Yeah. I mean, Angle gave him the angle slam. I wanted him to put him in that ankle lock so bad.
Well,
I think they're saving that for the match.
Saving that. I mean, you got the Raw women invading, doing their thing.
Yep.
I just feel...
Alexa comes out of nowhere and just clubs Charlotte.
5 feet of fury.
That was pretty good. Charlotte's my favorite female wrestler, but that was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, and then you got Miz versus Baron Corbin. I think that's gonna be like a squash match. I don't think
that should be the first match of the night.
Well, I think the kickoff show is gonna be longer than normal too, and it's gonna have the Cruiserweight Championship, Kalisto versus Enzo Amore.
Yeah, I mean there'll be the kickoff, but I mean
Enzo is a great heel.
He is. He actually is. But as soon as they get into the main show, I think that first match needs to be Miz and Corbin.
Yeah.
I mean, what other match do they have that's
squash?
That's that bad?
I mean, the women's match is gonna take a bit.
Yeah.
The tag match is probably gonna be a half an hour.
Yeah.
Both tag matches.
The 5-man.
The 3-on-3 and then the 2-on-2.
Oh, right.
Actually, they were all pretty much tag matches.
The title match. Well, yeah, that's what Survivor Series is, other than the champion matches.
Well, there's no championship match.
Well,
champion versus champion.
That's what I mean. Brock and AJ, Charlotte and Alexa and Baron and...
It's a little different from past Survivor Series because there's always at least a world title match or a title match of some sort. This one has no titles. It's strictly Raw versus SmackDown.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a good pay-per-view. The kickoff starts at maybe 6 instead of 7.
Yeah.
It's a little extended. But, yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's been a great week. So...
Yeah, it's good. It's going to be a fun day Sunday, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm off work early.
I got the Patriots versus the Oakland, and then you got Survivor Series.
Yep, Survivor Series is going to be a good one. This week all around is just a crazy weekend. So that brings us to the final segment of the show. Top 10 wrestling factions.
Sierra Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta, Shield.
Now, this isn't tag teams. 2 people don't make a faction. 2 people are a tag team. Factions are groups of 3 or more. Sometimes way more, but sometimes it's only the 3. So I'll start with number 10, one of my all-time favorites, classic group, Demolition, Axe, Smash, and Crush. They just dominated the tag team circuit for years. I don't want to say years because their lifespan wasn't all that long, but when they were around,
in general,
they just destroyed everybody. I mean, not to use a pun in their name, but they demolished everybody.
Mm-hmm.
The name was fitting. They just came out, did their job, beat the crap out of whoever it was they were fighting, and left. You know, they were just pretty dominating during their time. Number 9, and there's another variation of this kind of group a little later too, the Authority.
People may hate them, but they were still...
Right, the Authority, Triple H, Stephanie, Vince, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, Kane, Billy Gunn, Road Dogg, Batista, Joey Mercury, Jamie Noble is J&J Security, and Big Show. I mean, with all those names, you figure they'd be higher on the list, but they didn't accomplish as much as what a lot of these other groups did. But they were still dominant. Mm-hmm. I mean, they literally ran the show. They were the Authority. They had the owner and his daughter, and you know, they ran the show, and everybody was against them. So they were pretty good. Anything with Triple H is going to be good, though. I mean, it's kind of hard not to be. That was something we missed too. Triple H being added to the team. But that's number 9. Number 8 is the Nexus. Wade Barrett, Daniel Bryan, Darren Young, Ryback, Justin Gabriel, Heath Slater, David Otunga, John Cena was actually part of that for a little while. Husky Harris, Bray Wyatt. That's Husky's current persona.
Yeah.
Curtis Axel and CM Punk, which I decided just to name him M Punk. I'm sorry, I left the C off. But CM Punk, I mean,
that was the new Nexus.
Yeah, that was the new Nexus. Still the Nexus.
Yeah.
But the new Nexus. They were good. I mean, they just came in and they just... I
think that they just buried them too fast.
They did. They got rid of them
guys
too quickly.
Almost all of those guys are gone.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got Daniel Bryan, but he's not wrestling. Cena's part-time. Obviously, Bray is big.
I saw a thing with Bray. He's got only 180 something wins.
Yeah.
And 400 something losses.
Really? As Bray Wyatt?
Yeah.
Or just in his career?
Well, I don't know. It was like a thing. And he has like 16 draws.
Wow.
16 draws or something. That's crazy.
And then
unusual guys than him.
And then you got Curtis Axel, who's still around. And CM Punk, is he wrestling in an independent somewhere? Is he just
he's
done?
MMA.
Oh, I didn't know he went to the MMA.
Yeah, he had a UFC fight, got dominated.
But I mean, the Nexus came in and they were just big to start, and then they went away quickly. But there's a lot of champions in that group. You know, there's a lot of champions in that group.
I think Wade Barrett was definitely underutilized.
Yeah, he was definitely.
He had the world title look.
Yeah, he did. So that's the Nexus. Number 7, current, the Shield. Again, another dominant force. You saw what they did on SmackDown this week. They have no fear. Mm-hmm. They have zero fear at all. You know, some of these groups work off of just having numbers. These guys don't have the numbers.
No, the Hounds of Justice.
Yeah, the Hounds of Justice. They do their job.
The pack mentality.
Yeah, and they're great. Roman Reigns is my current favorite wrestler, not my all-time, but my current favorite wrestler.
Ooh, this man.
And so the group, most of you know, but Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose. I put Kurt Angle in the group because he was there for a day.
I remember. Actually, during one of the live events, Triple H was on.
Yeah, Triple H was for a day.
I remember.
I didn't put him on here because it wasn't on the shows. So.
And technically, for a while, Triple H was using them in the Authority too.
Right. Well, I had them up there.
Yeah.
Reigns, Ambrose, and Rollins as part of the Authority. But at that point, they weren't. I mean, they were still big, but they weren't what they are today. Today, they're 3 champions who are just now a group.
Mm-hmm.
You know. After that, we got the Bullet Club.
One of my personal.
You're probably surprised I put them on there because they're not mainstream. But the Bullet Club, the list of people that have been on the Bullet Club is crazy. AJ Styles, Adam Cole, Cody Hall, Jeff Jarrett, Anderson and Gallows, Haku, Bad Luck Fail, Chase Owens, Cody Rhodes,
who's the Ring of Honor champion right now.
Yep, Kenny Omega, Leo and Tamatonga, Matt and Nick Jackson, Tonga Loa, Yujiro Takahashi, and Adam Page. That group is crazy talented. I mean, there's so much ability in there. You got AJ Styles, who is one of the best performers in the business. You got someone who I think is underrated, although he does now have the title over in Ring of Honor, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, I
think he's immensely talented.
In one weekend, he won the Ring of Honor championship, and he challenged for the IWGP World Championship.
Yeah, I mean that group and their influence outside the ring is big too. That's something.
I mean, one of the only non-WWE shirts, and it's selling at Hot Topic. It's crazy.
Yeah. It really is too.
Yeah. You see it all over the place.
But I mean, as we get into these groups up here, they become not just in ring, but outside of the ring too. Their influence. So that's number 6. Number 5 is Evolution. People might find it weird that I have Evolution above the Authority because there's so much more in the Authority. But as Evolution, Triple H, Batista, Randy Orton, and Ric Flair. I mean, that group they held. All of them had a title at the same time.
And it was when Randy Orton really first got going.
Yeah.
Batista got going.
Yep. And you got Ric Flair, who's one of the greats of all time.
Oh, yeah.
And Triple H, who's going to go down when it's all said and done as one of the greats of all time. And probably the best office guy. I mean, if you want to call him that. He's done some crazy, crazy good things with this company. So that's number 5. Number 4, and I'll probably get a lot of flack for this one because I don't know how much of a faction they really were, but the Machines from the mid to early 80s. It was kind of a joke, but they were a group of guys that were together, and just the names are crazy. Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Axe from Demolition before he became Axe from Demolition, Roddy Piper, and Barry Windham. I mean, any group that has Hogan and Andre in the same group is just, it's crazy. I mean, again, outside ring influence, other than Axe, the other 4 have a lot of it, or had a lot of it too. But what happened was Andre got hurt before this, and they suspended him for something. And during his suspension, so he could still wrestle a little bit, he was the Machine, and every now and then he would fight. But he was the Giant Machine, and then Hulk Hogan was the Hogan Machine, or the Hulk Machine. You had the Piper Machine. Well, gee, who's this? They all wore masks, so nobody knew who they were, but you knew who they were because of their names. But that's the Machines. Number 3, and some people might disagree that they should be a 3. Some people might put them at 1. The 4 Horsemen. 4 Horsemen, clearly an amazing group of people. Just the roster that they've had. Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Ole Anderson, Tully Blanchard, Lex Luger, Barry Windham, Sting, Sid Vicious, Psycho Sid, whatever you want to call him, Paul Roma, okay, he's a little lacking, Brian Pillman, Chris Benoit, Steve McMichael, Jeff Jarrett, Kurt Hennig, and Dean Malenko.
I mean, they're original big stables.
Yeah, I mean, they're where stables came from, was the 4 Horsemen. You know, they started doing it, everybody started doing it. But, I mean, they're classic. You think of the 4 Horsemen, you think of WCW, NWA, and you know who you're talking about. It's always Ric Flair, it's always Arn Anderson. The other 2 tend to rotate. Tully Blanchard usually is considered, but the group was just a great group of wrestlers for the time. They were the top in the game, and they were together as a group. I mean, you couldn't beat them. Number 2, now this is where people really get into arguments. Number 2, and I hate to put him at number 2, I would want him at number 1, D-Generation X. Favorite guy ever, Shawn Michaels, leads D-Generation X. Triple H is his right-hand guy. X-Pac, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, Chyna, and a lot of people don't remember, but Rick Rude was at the beginning of DX.
Yeah, he was. He actually was on one of the only members that was on WCW and WWE in the same night.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
But, I mean, the group was, they were the challenge to our number 1. They were WWE's version. And, you know, they went and attacked WCW and Tank and all that.
They also, I mean, technically he was never really officially, but Kane worked with them a lot too.
Yeah, he
and
was...
Mick Foley for a while.
Yep, but they were never part of the group, so that's why I didn't put them on the list. But, I mean, DX, huge impact in wrestling. I mean,
personally, I would have them as number one.
Again, I would too if it was going by favorite, but number one is obvious by now. New World Order.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. There's no stable that is done what the New World Order did. They changed wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm gonna go down the list. This might take a while. Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Ted DiBiase, Big Show, the Fake Sting, Six, who was X-Pac, Vincent, Buff Bagwell, IRS, Scott Norton, Masahiro Chono, Randy Savage, Dennis Rodman.
It was basically the whole roster.
When you have a basketball player in a wrestling stable, then you know it's something big. The Great Muta, Conan, Kurt Hennig, Rick Rude, Dusty Rhodes. I forgot Dusty Rhodes was actually part of that.
Mm-hmm.
It was after they went there two different ways.
They basically just
Brian Adams. Yeah, they really did. Brian Adams, Scott Steiner, Stevie Ray, Barry Windham, The Real Sting, Disco Inferno, David Flair. And then when they recreated it in 2000, Bret Hart and Jeff Jarrett were in the group.
And then they had variations of
they have the
LWO.
Oh, well, yeah. The groups that took what the NWO did and wanted to either make fun of it, being the BWO, the Blue World Order, and ECW with the Blue Meanie, or actually try and be something similar like the LWO.
Yeah.
You know, it's the impact that the NWO had on the industry, you know, starting with the Outsiders and then becoming what it did, was just beyond any of these other groups.
I mean,
as much as I like DX, because it's two of my favorite guys ever, although two of my other favorite guys are in the NWO. And actually, Shawn Michaels was part of the NWO at one point.
In WWE.
In WWE, yeah.
Big Show, Shawn Michaels, Booker T.
Yeah, Big Show was there at the beginning. He was a giant.
Booker T was in there.
But, I mean, the NWO is just, you can't beat the NWO.
No, I mean, they definitely got it going. DX, like I said, DX probably my favorite. NWO, I think they went on farther than they should have, and that was the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
They killed WCW. They made it just so strong.
Yeah.
I personally love the Wolfpack. I love the look.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, black and red.
I love NWO versus Wolfpack. That was some good stuff.
It was.
But ultimately they went too long with it, and that's what killed. Goldberg would destroy him. Well, Goldberg was the only one that could.
Goldberg should destroy anybody he gets into a ring with.
But yeah, I mean, that's not a bad list.
Yeah, I mean that's my top 10. There's a couple others that you know towards the bottom could probably switch around.
I mean, I know you probably weren't a big TNA guy.
Not really.
One of my favorite stables of all time, and it's probably it's because I watched TNA. It's because some people will kind of disagree with this, but Main Event Mafia, I always liked in TNA.
Yeah, I know who they are.
And it had Kurt Angle, it had Sting, it had Kevin Nash, it had Booker T, it had Scott Steiner. Very briefly, it had Christian Cage, and then it had Samoa Joe. The concept was that they were the high pay. Basically, it was kind of a rehash of NWO a little bit.
Yeah.
But they were the higher, paid wrestlers in the business or in TNA, and they were shutting down the young wrestlers.
Gotcha. And
they all had to be world champion at one point. Later on, they brought in a guy named Magnus, who is married to Mickie James.
Oh, really?
I think they should bring him into WWE, but Kurt Angle was the leader. Then later on, Sting. And then there was a second incarnation where it was Kurt Angle, Sting, Samoa Joe, Magnus, and Rampage Jackson from MMA, who fought another big stable that went TNA was Aces and Eights with the Dudley Boys. And that was a good stable, but they were used wrong. Aces
and Eights? Yeah,
they started taking all these people in, and it was a cool concept that you all came in with these masks and gang mentality and bikers. But I think they revealed people too fast.
Gotcha.
But just for my perspective, since you never watched TNA, that was a pretty good stable,
Yeah.
and then they kind of did one in where AJ Styles was a part of another stable where it was called Fortune, and they would kind of rehash the Four Horsemen, but Ric Flair was in it too.
Oh, really?
And it was Bobby Roode, AJ Styles. Sometime it was oh my god, Christopher Daniels and Kazarian. So it was a cool little thing.
Yeah.
And Fortune was another big stable. I love TNA, so maybe I would have mixed it, but I like your top, 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the groups, those guys, good groups of guys. I mean, I saw them as I was researching because I this is mostly, personal preference, but I did research. That's how I got not that you really need to research a Bullet Club, but I needed to research to see who like the further down members were. Because obviously, the big ones, Cody Rhodes, AJ Styles, Gallows and Anderson, Kenny Omega, you know those guys. But, I did some research and I saw, Main Event Mafia almost actually made my list, just because of the names alone.
Yeah,
Aces and Eights to me wasn't impressing me when I was reading about them. But, I just, when it all comes down to it, they're all second to the NWO anyways.
Yeah, I might still have DX up there, but that's just me.
That's personal preference of favorites, not actual impact. So that's it for this week.
Yeah,
we're done.
Again, share us if you like it. Tell us what your top 10 is.
Yep.
That's a good thing, is we like to see what your top 10 is.
Right, like to compare, rip on me if you want. I can take it, I'm a big boy. Tell me I'm stupid for some of the guys I have on here. That's fine. But just give us some feedback. Let us know which parts of the podcast you like, which parts of the podcast you don't like. And we probably won't change anything, but at least we'll know.
All right.
But so that's it for this week.
Take
have
care.
a good week, and we'll see you next time.